The night was heavy, silent, except for the screams that were cut short. A chill settled over the city. Something was wrong, very wrong. A predator lurked in the shadows. He was hunting, and he wouldn't stop. Not until he was caught. This wasn't a movie. This was real life. The year was 1997. The city, Los Angeles. Fear was the only thing spreading faster than the whispers. Whispers of a monster. They called him the bedroom strangler, and he was about to unleash his terror. His name was Russell Maurice Johnson. But soon everyone would know him as the monster he truly was. What creates a monster? A question that haunts us. Russell Maurice Johnson's story doesn't offer easy answers. Born in 1970, his early life was shrouded in darkness. A darkness that hinted at the horrors to come. There were whispers, stories of a troubled childhood, neglect, abuse. The seeds of rage were sown early. As he grew older, the rage festered, turning into something dark, something sinister, something monstrous. His first victims were animals, small creatures he could control. He tortured them, killed them. A chilling premonition of the horrors to come. The monster was learning, perfecting his craft. His first human victim, a young woman, alone, vulnerable. He watched her, studied her routine. He knew her movements, her habits. He knew when to strike. He entered silently, like a phantom. His weapon of choice, his bare hands. He took pleasure in the struggle, the fear in their eyes. Their futile attempts to fight back. It fueled him, empowered him. He was in control. He would bind them, gag them, silence their screams. Then he would unleash his rage. The terror was palpable, the brutality unimaginable. He was a nightmare come to life. The victims. They were more than just names in a news report. They were daughters, mothers, sisters, friends. Each one had a story, a life filled with dreams, hopes, and aspirations. They laughed, they cried, they loved. They were the heartbeats of their families, the pillars of their communities. Their absence left a void that could never be filled. Their lives cut tragically short. In the blink of an eye, everything changed. The world they knew, the world that knew them, was shattered. The light in their eyes extinguished, leaving behind only memories and the haunting question of what could have been. Their stories silenced by fear. Fear that crept into the hearts of those who loved them. Fear that something so senseless could happen to anyone, at any time. The streets they once walked with confidence now seemed menacing, shadows lurking around every corner. But their memories lived on. In the photographs that captured their smiles. In the stories shared by those who knew them best. They were remembered in the quiet moments of reflection, in the tears shed by those left behind. Their legacy was one of love, resilience, and the unbreakable bond of family and friendship. There was Sarah, a young artist with dreams as big as the city. Her canvases were filled with vibrant colors, each stroke a testament to her passion and creativity. She saw beauty in the world and wanted to share it with everyone. Maria, a single mother working 2 jobs to provide for her children. Her days were long and exhausting, but she never complained. Her children were her world, and she would do anything to give them a better life. Emily, a college student with a bright future ahead of her. She was dedicated, hardworking, and full of potential. Each life taken brutally, senselessly, their dreams, their futures, stolen in an instant, leaving behind a trail of grief and despair. The pain of their loss was felt deeply by all who knew them. The sorrow was palpable, a heavy weight that seemed impossible to bear. Their families were left to pick up the pieces, to navigate a world that no longer made sense. They clung to each other for support, finding strength in their shared grief, haunted by the question, why? Why did this happen? Why them? The search for answers was relentless, but the answers were elusive. The pain of not knowing, of never understanding, was a wound that never healed, a question that echoed in the silence left behind. The pain was raw, the loss, immeasurable. In the quiet moments, when the world seemed to stand still, their absence was felt the most. The silent screams of those left behind, a testament to the love that would never fade. Section 5. The Hunter and the Hunted. The city was on edge. It was as if an invisible hand had gripped the heart of the metropolis, squeezing tighter with each passing night. The once vibrant streets now echoed with an eerie silence, broken only by the occasional hurried footsteps of those brave enough to venture out after dark. Fear hung thick in the air. It was palpable, a living, breathing entity that seemed to wrap itself around every corner, every alleyway. The fog that rolled in each night only added to the sense of dread, obscuring vision and amplifying the unknown. Every shadow seemed to hold a threat. The long, dark fingers of the night stretched out, creating phantoms that danced just out of sight. People whispered of seeing figures lurking, of hearing footsteps that stopped when they turned around. Every creak in the night, a potential attack. Homes, once sanctuaries of safety, now felt like traps. The creaking of floorboards, the rustling of leaves outside the window, every sound was magnified, every noise a harbinger of doom. The police were working tirelessly, desperate to catch the monster in their midst. Their offices were a flurry of activity, maps and photographs plastered on walls, red strings connecting dots in a web of chaos. They knew the city was counting on them. They followed every lead, every clue, however small, however insignificant it seemed. No stone was left unturned, no tip dismissed. The detectives moved with a sense of urgency, knowing that any delay could mean another life lost. They interviewed witnesses, combed through evidence. Each testimony, each piece of evidence was a puzzle piece, slowly forming a picture of the predator they were hunting. The pressure to solve the case was immense. The pressure was immense, the stakes even higher. The weight of the city's fear rested on their shoulders. They worked through the night, their faces etched with lines of worry and fatigue. They knew they were racing against time. Every second that ticked by was a second closer to another potential tragedy. The clock was their enemy, its relentless ticking a constant reminder of the urgency of their mission. The media frenzy was relentless. Reporters swarmed the police stations, their cameras flashing, their questions unending. The story had gripped the nation and everyone wanted answers. Every news channel led with the story. Breaking news alerts interrupted regular programming, updates were constant. The face of the hunter, the shadowy figure that eluded capture, was everywhere. Every newspaper plastered his face on the front page. Headlines screamed of the latest developments, the latest theories. The city was united in its fear, its hope for an end to the terror. The city held its breath, waiting, praying for an end to the nightmare. The tension was a living thing, a shared experience that bound the citizens together. They watched, they waited, and they hoped that the hunter would soon become the hunted. Section 6. A Trail of Tears. The investigation was grueling, a race against time. The detectives worked day and night, driven by the need for justice, for the victims, for their families, for the city they swore to protect. Then, a breakthrough, a fingerprint, a partial DNA match. The pieces of the puzzle began to fall into place. The net was closing in. The evidence led them to a name: Russell Maurice Johnson. The relief was palpable, but it was short-lived. They had a name. But where was he? The hunt was far from over. They had to find him, before he could strike again. Section 7. Justice served? The trial was a media circus. Cameras flashed. Reporters scribbled furiously. The courtroom was packed with journalists, each one eager to capture every moment of the high-profile case. The public's interest was palpable, with people lining up outside the courthouse, hoping to catch a glimpse of the proceedings. The atmosphere was electric, charged with anticipation and a sense of impending justice. The world watched as Russell Maurice Johnson, the monster who had terrorized their city, finally faced justice. The evidence was overwhelming. Witnesses recounted harrowing tales of his crimes, painting a chilling picture of a man devoid of remorse. The courtroom was silent, the gravity of his actions hanging heavy in the air. Families of the victims sat in the audience, their faces etched with pain and a longing for closure. The prosecution presented a compelling case, detailing each crime, each act of violence, each life taken. They meticulously laid out the evidence, piece by piece, leaving no room for doubt. Graphic photos, forensic reports, and emotional testimonies painted a damning picture. The prosecutor's voice was steady, unwavering, as they sought to bring justice to the victims and their families. The defense tried to plead insanity, to paint him as a victim of his past. They brought in psychologists, experts who testified about his troubled childhood, his history of abuse, and his mental health struggles. They argued that he was not in control of his actions, that he was a product of his environment. But their arguments seemed to fall flat, unable to sway the jury. But the jury saw through it. The verdict was swift, guilty on all counts. The deliberation was brief, a testament to the strength of the prosecution's case. As the foreman read out the verdict, a collective sigh of relief swept through the courtroom. Justice, it seemed, had finally been served. The families of the victims embraced, tears of relief and sorrow mingling on their faces. The judge, her voice heavy with the weight of her decision, sentenced him to life in prison. She spoke of the heinous nature of his crimes, the lives he had destroyed and the pain he had caused. Her words were measured, deliberate, as she handed down the sentence. There would be no parole, no chance for redemption. The courtroom was silent, the finality of the sentence sinking in. Without the possibility of parole, justice had been served, but at what cost? The city had been scarred, the lives of the victims' families forever changed. As Russell Maurice Johnson was led away in handcuffs, the sense of closure was bittersweet. The trial had ended, but the healing had only just begun. The scales of justice had tipped, but the weight of the past lingered. Section 8. Scars that remain. The scars ran deep. They were etched into the very fabric of the city, a constant reminder of the terror that had gripped them. The victims' families were left to grapple with their loss, their pain, their anger. The community was shaken, the sense of security, of safety shattered, the fear lingered, a constant shadow over their lives. Support groups formed, offering solace and understanding, a safe space to share their grief, to heal. But the healing process was slow, painful. The wounds might have healed, but the scars remained, a constant reminder of the monster who had walked among them. Section 9. Echoes of fear. Years have passed, the city has rebuilt, life goes on. But the memory of Russell Maurice Johnson, the bedroom strangler, still haunts the city. His name a whisper in the dark, a reminder that evil can lurk anywhere. The case changed the city. It made them question their safety, their vulnerability. It forced them to confront the darkness that can reside in the human heart. The case of the bedroom strangler serves as a chilling reminder. A reminder that monsters are real and sometimes they walk among us.